On our 7th wedding anniversary, my wife Emily took our children diving, but they encountered an accident. I risked my life by jumping into the water, but collided with a reef, sustaining multiple fractures and was unable to find them. Later, my wounds attracted piranhas, leaving me covered in injuries, until the lifeguards arrived and dragged me ashore. As I lay dying, I saw Emily and her childhood sweetheart Daniel passionately kissing on the beach. The people around me were mocking me, calling me a fool for thinking that having a level 2 diving certificate qualified me to be a lifeguard. I should have known better. My son Connor looked displeased and everyone started playing truth or dare. "Can't you see what's happening?" Daniel held her gently and smiled, saying, "Emily, your lips are still as sweet as ever after all these years. He listened to you and was willing to risk his life for you. Don't you feel a little sorry for him?" Emily didn't care. Who could blame him for being so foolish, unable to tell truth from lies? It wasn't anyone else's fault. Seeing them clinging tightly to each other and receiving Connor's distress message, I thought to myself, this time I should let them be. When I opened my eyes, I found myself submerged in a bathtub filled with icy water. The wounds on my body had been bitten by piranhas and hadn't been properly treated. The cold water stung terribly when it touched the wounds. I endured the pain and climbed out of the bathtub, intending to go to the living room to find some alcohol to disinfect the wounds. At the staircase corner, I heard Daniel laughing coldly in the living room. Look at him. He can't even escape the piranhas. Did he buy that second-level diving certificate? He's useless, Connor said disdainfully. They were all gathered around watching the video footage taken by the drone during the diving incident, hearing the sound of me coming downstairs. Everyone's gaze turned toward me. Emily saw the wounds on my body and frowned, looking displeased. "Go clean yourself up first before coming back. Daniel faints at the sight of blood. Aren't you afraid of scaring him?" I didn't respond to her. Instead, I walked step by step toward Connor, straightening my back as much as possible to look like a strict father. "Connor, why did you lie to Dad? Did I ever teach you to lie like this?" Before I could finish speaking, he suddenly pushed me hard. The area on my chest that had been severely bitten by the piranha was hit by his force, causing blood to gush out immediately. I couldn't help but scream. "My father is Uncle Daniel. What right do you have to call yourself my father?" Connor's eyes were filled with anger as he struck me repeatedly with his fists, completely disregarding the fact that I was bleeding profusely. But the physical pain couldn't compare to the emotional agony. Looking at this boy who was almost as tall as me, a wave of bitterness welled up inside me. I raised him to this age, yet he wouldn't even call me Dad. Perhaps she felt she had gone too far. Emily, though uncomfortable, forced herself to pat my shoulder. "It was just a joke. Why such a big reaction? There are so many people here. Go back upstairs and tidy up before coming down. By the way, they'll be having dinner at home tonight. Hurry up and change your clothes and cook dinner." After saying that, she pushed me upstairs. I turned to look at her. "Emily, I hit the rocks and broke my arm. How am I supposed to cook dinner?" A flash of panic crossed her eyes. Emily was about to say something but was interrupted by her best friend. "What's there to be sad about? A fracture doesn't mean you can't move at all. How can you not cook?" The others chimed in, their faces clearly showing their dissatisfaction. "Men don't cook, so what's the point of you being here? If you were handsome, I could understand, but look at you now. You're not exactly someone you'd want to get close to. Daniel is much better looking. Thank goodness Connor isn't your child. Who knows what he'd turn out like?" Daniel gently picked Connor up and said, "You guys are saying some interesting things. Even though you're not Connor's biological father, you've taken care of him for all these years with heart and effort, but you haven't had your own child all these years. Is there something wrong?" Everyone's gaze focused on my lower body, laughing heartily. I trembled all over, awkwardly covering myself with my hands, subconsciously hoping Emily would say something to help me. but her laughter was just as loud as everyone else's. "What are you looking at?" Daniel was right. Can't the truth be spoken? My last shred of hope shattered. I forced a bitter smile and turned to leave, but Daniel grabbed my wrist. "I heard Emily say you usually finish quickly. I happen to know a thing or two about this. Why don't I take a look?" He smiled and tried to pull down my pants. I couldn't take it anymore and pushed his hand away, thinking only of getting out of there as quickly as possible. Just then, Emily suddenly stepped in front of me, blocking the camera. She turned and gave me a cold glance, saying bluntly, "If everyone finds out I married a useless man, how will they mock me?" I stared at her in shock, searching her eyes for a hint of regret. Had she forgotten that I had never wanted children because she was worried it would affect Connor? So on our wedding day, I went to get sterilized. She felt guilty, hugged me tightly, and said, "Connor will respect you just as much as he respects his biological father. If anyone says you can't have children, I'll stand up for you." Those words once sounded so kind, but now they feel so foreign. She once swore she'd protect me for the rest of my life, but now she's saying I don't have children because of my body. I looked at her in disbelief and asked, "Emily, why don't I have children? Don't you both know?" She paused, a flash of guilt in her eyes. She was about to speak when Daniel pulled her back. "How can you speak to Emily like that? Emily was willing to marry you and take care of you all these years. Don't you feel any gratitude? Without her, you might not even know where you'd be right now." Daniel's words gave Emily an opening, and she continued at the time. "You were begging me every day to give you a proper identity. I was willing to marry you. That was already generous enough. Don't have the nerve to ask for more." 15 years ago, Emily's business failed and Daniel used the excuse of going abroad for medical treatment, leaving her and Connor behind. I didn't care that she was divorced and had a child. I insisted on staying by her side to help her rebuild her life. I secured sponsors and clients for her, took care of her newborn son, and stayed by her side until her company began to thrive and Connor grew up. On the day her company went public, she finally agreed to my proposal. After marriage, the three of us lived a happy life, but it wasn't until Daniel returned that I realized how foolish I had been. After coming to terms with this, I struggled to get up from the ground, walked around them, and rushed to the hospital. As I passed by Daniel, he suddenly grabbed my arm and pressed down hard on the broken part. The pain made my face contort, and I couldn't help but push his hand away. He fell backward. "What are you doing?" "I just wanted to check on your injury." "Why did you push me?" "It hurts so much here," he said, pretending to hold his chest in pain. I tried to explain, but Connor kicked me hard in the back of the knee. I groaned and fell forward, kneeling in front of Daniel. "My father just wanted to talk to you and you pushed him away. Don't you know he has a heart condition? Go apologize to him right now." He kicked me repeatedly in the back, completely ignoring the festering wounds on my body. I clenched my fists, feeling utterly defeated. Although Daniel was his biological father, it wasn't wrong for him to support Daniel, but the pain in my heart remained. I worked so hard to raise him, even sacrificing my own child to spare his feelings. Now he was treating me this way for Daniel's sake, which truly broke my heart. "Never mind," I sighed. "Since he doesn't acknowledge me, why should I humiliate myself?" I tried to get up from the ground, but Emily kicked me back down. "You want to get up after apologizing? If anything happens to Daniel, I'll hold you responsible." She grabbed my hair and pushed me to the ground. I struggled desperately, but my entire body was injured, and I couldn't fight her. Daniel pretended to be magnanimous, standing in front of me and feigning concern, saying, "For your sake, enduring a little hardship is nothing." His generosity made me look especially scheming. Emily's strength grew stronger, forcing me to kneel before Daniel and pressing my head down onto the ground. "Who does he think he is, daring to lay a hand on you?" My forehead hit the cold ground over and over again, and I felt all my strength draining away. Emily was so strong that I felt dizzy and was about to faint. Finally, I gave in. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I shouldn't have pushed you. Let me go. I won't show up in front of you again. My throat was dry from holding back for so long, and my waist finally bent. But Daniel still wanted to confront me. He hid behind Emily, looking wronged. What do you mean by that? It sounds like I'm the one kicking you out. Are you trying to get someone else to scold me? As soon as she finished speaking, Connor suddenly grabbed the remaining asphalt bucket and charged toward me. Emily was terrified and hurriedly tried to pull her back, but she was grabbed instead. Connor, what are you doing? That's asphalt. Connor seemed not to hear her, and the remaining asphalt was all splashed onto my face. A searing pain spread across my face, and I couldn't help but scream. I stretched out my hands but dared not touch my face. It's truly incomprehensible. It was you who made my father leave, causing our family to be separated for so many years. Now you want to slander him. I never expected Connor, such a young child, to act so decisively. The asphalt stuck to my body, and the living room was filled with the smell of burning flesh. I screamed desperately, rolling around on the ground trying to ease the pain. Everyone around me was startled. I reached out to Emily, hoping she would take me to the hospital, but she instinctively hugged Daniel tightly, afraid I would touch him. I finally passed out. When I woke up again, everything around me was white. My body was tightly wrapped, lying on a hospital bed. I tried to sit up, but the nurse immediately stopped me. Don't move. You have burns over 60% of your body and just underwent a skin graft surgery. If the wounds reopen, we'll have to do it again. How do you feel now? After the heart transplant surgery, as long as you survive the first 24 hours without rejection, you'll be fine. I was speechless. What heart surgery? My heart is fine. Your wife said we performed a heart transplant surgery and transplanted your heart into Mr. Daniel on the floor above. The heart inside your body now is an artificial heart. No wonder I felt a dull pain in my chest as soon as I opened my eyes and couldn't muster the energy to do anything. Why did you replace my heart? Did you even ask me? Should I report your hospital? The nurse looked at me with a sympathetic expression and gently stroked my chest. Please calm down. Your wife brought the transplant consent form which has your signature, so we proceeded with the procedure. Transplant consent form. So that's what Emily had me sign that day. She's really clever. I leaned against the headboard of the hospital bed, smiling bitterly to myself. Everything she did was to give Daniel a healthy heart. What about me? Is my life worth nothing? Just leave me alone. I need some time to think. Once the nurse had gone far enough, I struggled to take out my phone and found a number I hadn't contacted in ages in my contacts. Sophia, why are you suddenly calling me? The familiar female voice made the grievances in my heart spill out, and I couldn't help but cry. Sis, I choked out the events of the past few days. And she remained silent. I'll be right there. Her tone was serious, and the sound of keys jingling came through the phone. My parents passed away when I was young, and it was my older sister Sophia who raised me. She had always been against me being with Emily, believing that Emily wasn't suitable for marriage, and that women understood each other better. But I was blinded by love at the time and even argued with my sister over Emily. She was deeply disappointed in me and stopped responding to my greetings, refusing to let me visit her. Over time, our contact grew increasingly sparse. I never expected her to answer my call. As soon as the call ended, Emily walked in. She suppressed her frustration and forced a smile as she sat down beside me. You fainted and scared Daniel half to death. If it weren't for you, he wouldn't have had a heart attack. So, giving your heart to him was only right. Plus, Connor is still young. You don't want him to have a bad record at such a young age, do you? I could hear the meaning behind her words and could only force a wry smile. Emily, you don't need to ask me these things. Connor is like a son to me. How could I send him to prison? Hearing my promise, her face flushed with embarrassment, but mostly relief. That's good. Rest well. I promise to take them for a walk and I'll come back later to check on you. After saying that, she turned and left decisively. as if even looking at me one more time made her uncomfortable. "Emily, let's get a divorce." As she reached the door, I called out to her, my voice filled with resignation. She seemed to find it amusing, turned back, and looked at me with a contemptuous smile. "Look at yourself now. You don't even act like a human being. You really want a divorce? Who would want to be with you after a divorce, all right? As long as you behave yourself and don't cause trouble for Daniel, I'll take care of you." She left in a hurry and didn't show up for the next few days. Sophia hung up the phone and flew over that night on a private jet. Upon seeing me, she didn't ask any questions. She immediately helped me with the hospital discharge procedures and packed my luggage. I gathered all the items in the house related to me, and it all fit into a single cardboard box. Most of them were things I had bought for Emily and Connor. The villa was in the suburbs, so there was no need to worry about disturbing others. I set the place on fire, reducing it to ruins. Sophia's private jet was parked outside the villa. I took a photo of the villa in ruins and sent it to Emily. This was the divorce gift. As soon as the message was sent, Emily called immediately. I hung up several times, but she kept calling. Sophia saw the note on her phone and sneered. "Why aren't you answering your wife's call?" I forced a wry smile and pointed to my tightly wrapped body. "After everything we've been through, you should have learned some lessons by now." The usually composed Sophia quickly turned her head away, but I still caught a glimpse of tears in her eyes. "You're really good at holding back. After all these years of suffering, you didn't even want to come find me sooner. Maybe because I didn't answer her calls." Emily started sending me messages. "What's going on? How did the villa catch fire? What do you mean by divorce? Who are you with? Your hand looks just like a woman's. Are you cheating on me? Look at yourself in the mirror. Who would want you looking like that? Don't pretend you didn't see the messages. I'm telling you, if I don't see you tonight, you'll regret it." I checked the home surveillance footage and saw her and Daniel being intimate, as well as the footage of Connor pouring asphalt on me. "If you don't sign, I have ways to make things even more complicated." This message seemed threatening, and Emily stopped sending any more messages. After living with her for so many years, I could guess her mood without even looking at her. Seeing that she wasn't going to respond, I was about to turn off my phone when Connor sent a message. "Now that you've left, you're still coming back to torment us. Don't think a video will make me change my mind. Daniel's dad said I'm still a minor, so even if I did something, it's okay. From now on, I'm Daniel Connor. Don't ever show up in front of us again." I felt a pang of sadness. The pain he had caused me was something I could never forget. But I didn't understand. We had been together for 15 years. From the time he was a child, he had called me dad with such sweetness. I had always been by his side, participating in every important moment of his life. Why did he hate me so much? Children don't remember things, so someone must have been telling him things behind my back, making him hate me like this. "All right, from now on, I'm not your father and you're not my son." I trembled as I deleted his contact information, along with all the memories. After finishing these things, I followed Sophia to the private hospital we had arranged earlier. Emily, who was here, saw the message I sent and felt a little uneasy. Because I had never spoken to her in such a tone before, I had always spoken to her in a submissive manner, afraid of making her unhappy. Now, I had dared to threaten her. Emily's expression grew increasingly grim as she clutched her phone tightly, looking very tense. Thinking of the burning villa, she quickly called Connor and Daniel to return together. Upon arriving back, they saw nothing but ruins. The fire had been extinguished, leaving only a mess behind. At that moment, the staff I had hired arrived with the divorce agreement. Upon seeing the contents of the agreement, Emily was so angry that she threw it on the ground. Why didn't he just give this to me himself? The delivery guy looked at her in confusion before getting back on his electric scooter. "How should I know? He just told me to give this to you." Seeing Emily's upset expression, Daniel gently kissed her cheek, trying to comfort her. "He doesn't know how to appreciate anything. What's the point of thinking about him anymore? Since the villa is gone, let's just buy another one. I've already found a place. We'll go check it out tomorrow." The villa was no longer livable, so they found a small hotel to stay in temporarily. Daniel was excited about the new villa, but Emily had no interest at all. She rubbed her temples tiredly, feeling like something was missing. Although she had been living with Daniel all this time, he was completely clueless about household chores and work. Unable to do anything, every day he took Connor out to play and bought a lot of useless things. It felt like her money was just being thrown away. Actually, she was worried about Daniel's heart condition, so she always went along with him and pampered him. Recently, the company had encountered some troubles. Several deals that had been secured were snatched away by others, feeling like they were specifically targeting us. Moreover, the company's finances are in disarray. With significant external debts, we might not even be able to pay the employees' salaries next month, and the villa Daniel has always wanted. She had gone to see it before. At the time, she could barely afford the price he mentioned, but now she can't even afford the final payment. As she thought about it, she gradually fell asleep. Feeling extremely hot, she murmured my name under her breath. Connor pushed her hard in anger. "Mom, why did you call her name? If Dad heard that, he'd be heartbroken." Emily felt so upset she couldn't even lift her arms. Hearing Connor say those words, she was deeply disappointed. "How could you say that? He raised you. And you dare to speak of him like that?" Connor snorted coldly, his eyes filled with hatred. "You were trying to hide it from me. If it weren't for that woman coming between you and Dad, Dad wouldn't have gone abroad and left me behind." Emily struggled to stay calm, but her anger had no outlet. Her face was pale, and she angrily told Connor to leave. Then she went to find Daniel. "How did you explain to Connor why you went abroad?" Daniel realized his lie had been exposed, and he felt uneasy, but he still smiled and hugged Emily. "What are you talking about? I don't quite understand." Seeing that he wouldn't admit it, Emily deliberately called Connor over and made him repeat what he had just said. Now Daniel couldn't pretend he didn't know anymore. His eyes were red, and he eventually kicked Connor out of the room, then gently asked Emily to sit on the bed. "Connor is still young. If he finds out I left because I was sick, he'll think I don't love him. Emily, we're a family. You want there to be a distance between me and my son." Emily paused, the words she had been about to ask stuck in her throat. "I just care about you both and don't want there to be a distance between us. You understand, right?" The man's gentle tone made Emily unable to say anything accusatory. Seeing her expression soften, Daniel sighed in relief and kissed her lips. But Emily instinctively pushed him away, not noticing the sadness in his eyes, and ran off. For some reason, every time she saw Daniel, his face would flash through her mind. Sophia's business had always been overseas, but to deal with Emily, she specifically chose to return to the country and open a branch office. She was very well known in the business circles overseas, and almost everyone knew her. Now that she was returning to develop her business, industry leaders from all sectors were rushing to seek her collaboration. Her only condition for partnership was that there must be no connection with Emily. This made everyone realize that Emily and this powerful figure had a strained relationship. People began to take sides, and Emily's partners were willing to pay hefty compensation to sever ties with her. Her company was already unstable, and now it had completely collapsed. Employees have left, and online backlash against her company is growing. All her years of hard work have gone down the drain. Meanwhile, under Sophia's arrangements, I went to a top-notch hospital abroad, underwent several surgeries, and my injuries are slowly healing. As for the facial injuries, Sophia hired a trusted plastic surgeon to design a new face that suits me better. When the bandages were removed, even Sophia, who was used to seeing handsome men, was speechless. She helped me find a suitable heart donor, and as long as my body recovers well, I can undergo a heart transplant surgery. Things are moving in the right direction. Emily is dragging her feet and refusing to agree to the divorce. I don't want to wait any longer. So I asked Sophia to find me a highly skilled divorce lawyer in the country. After hearing my situation, the lawyer confidently assured me that we would win the case. Until Sophia saw Daniel's photo and laughed heartily. Noticing my confused expression, she cheerfully explained that this man was quite famous in the gay scene. He was very open-minded, willing to be with both men and women, and usually partied with a group of people. Later, after hearing about her illness, he had a relationship with a man, who then confronted her. In front of a crowd, she was exposed by his wife, who took photos, and the next day the photos were posted on a forum. Those photos are still available online. Upon hearing this sensational news, I immediately told Emily. She called me right away as soon as she received the message. "You finally want to talk to me. I've been thinking a lot lately and feel guilty toward you. Can we talk? Where are you now? Can I come over?" Her tone was humble and she sounded very cautious. I was surprised that her first words weren't accusing me. She seemed to have more to say, so I hung up first. I sent her all the information about Daniel, including the content from the forum. After sending the message, I added her to my blacklist. A few days later, Daniel's news went viral. That day, she was out shopping with her family when a woman wearing a mask suddenly rushed out, holding a bottle of concentrated sulfuric acid, and charged toward Daniel without hesitation. "That's too much. Now you'll see the consequences." Daniel instinctively shielded Emily and Connor behind him, but the concentrated sulfuric acid splashed onto Connor's face. The burning sound echoed, and Connor screamed in pain. Daniel seemed not to hear, abandoning them and walking away. The woman was highly agitated, apparently aware of the relationship between Emily and Daniel, and did not pursue them. Instead, she grabbed Emily's hair and slapped her repeatedly. What kind of woman would be with that man? "Look at me, scratch your face." Her hands, adorned with long nails, continued to scratch Emily's face. All that could be heard was Emily and Connor screaming desperately. Daniel was already nowhere to be seen. Seeing this news, I felt helpless. I never thought Daniel could be so heartless. Connor is his own flesh and blood. I never thought he would push his son in front of danger. That's inhumane. I wonder what Emily and Connor think of Daniel now after going through all this. Seeing Connor in the news, his body smoking and writhing in agony on the ground, my feelings were complicated. On one hand, I felt furious toward him, but on the other, I couldn't help but feel sorry for him. I understand how painful it is to be hurt by someone you trust the most. The boy before me overlapped with the memory of the little boy who used to cling to my legs and sweetly call me Dad. But there was no trace of that boy left in him. But people change, and I can't expect him to stay the same forever. Emily and Connor were taken to the hospital, while the woman who attacked them found Daniel before the police arrived. When she found him, Daniel was frantically hiding in a bathroom stall. The woman, acting like a madwoman, wielded a knife at him, and no one dared to intervene. By the time the police arrived, he had been stabbed multiple times and was lying unconscious on the ground. He died before he could be taken to the hospital. At first, people felt sorry for him, but after he died, all sorts of negative rumors about him started spreading. There were even videos of him working as a host in a foreign country, which affected other people's families, causing everyone to stop speaking up for him. Everyone expressed satisfaction, saying he deserved to die. As for Emily and Connor, their faces were severely disfigured, and they couldn't even afford the money for reconstructive surgery. Emily used the last of her money to arrange plastic surgery for Connor, but they could only afford the cheapest hospital, and the results weren't very good. I didn't have the heart to pay attention to their situation afterward. The most important thing now was to focus on my own life, after my injuries healed. Sophia took me under her wing to help manage the company. Under her guidance, I gradually adapted, and everything began to fall into place. On our way home from work, we unexpectedly encountered Emily and Connor. She rushed over like a person out of control, pointing at Sophia angrily and demanding, "You're chatting so happily with another man's husband. Do you think I won't make you suffer?" She lunged toward Sophia with a menacing expression, but I quickly grabbed her wrist and pushed her away forcefully. Emily's face was wrapped in bandages, and her eyes were red like blood. "You pushed me for her. How could you do this?" Her eyes filled with sadness, but I just looked at her coldly. Feeling nothing. "What are you doing here?" I furrowed my brows and pulled Sophia back. Emily's behavior was strange, and I was really worried she might suddenly lose control and hurt the two of us. "I came to find you. I know I was wrong. I never thought Daniel would be like this. Can you forgive me? I will never have anything to do with him again," she cried, reaching out to grab my pant leg. Her exposed arms were covered in red spots, and I immediately realized she might have been infected by Daniel. Thinking of this, I felt even more disgusted and took a step back without showing it. "We're already divorced." I kindly reminded her, but she continued to stare at me firmly, completely ignoring my words. "I didn't sign the papers, so we're not officially divorced. I've hired a lawyer and am preparing to file for divorce. Even if you don't sign, I'll present the evidence of your infidelity and then you won't get anything." She froze, not expecting me to actually want to divorce her. I didn't want to say more, so I grabbed Sophia and tried to leave. Just as I turned around, I heard a noise behind me. Connor was kneeling on the ground, clinging to my legs and crying so hard he couldn't breathe. "Dad, I know I was wrong. It was that bad person who deceived me. He said you were the one who separated him from Mom, so he's never had a father since he was a child. All because you deceived him. I really miss you, Dad. Since you left, he's never been kind to me." He was crying so hard, tears and snot everywhere. After all, he was the child I had raised all these years. How could I not feel heartbroken for him? But asking me to forgive him was absolutely out of the question. I shook my head and pushed his hands away. "You were the one who said it yourself. You didn't want me to be your father. Connor, you're old enough now. You need to take responsibility for your own words." After saying that, I left with Sophia. Behind me, the two of them started crying and shouting, but I didn't look back. Actually, I should have left decisively the first time Emily betrayed me. Rather than looking back time and time again, it's better to learn from the lesson. Don't look back at people and things that aren't worth it. That's the lesson I learned from this mother and son.